So the other day I picked up a Sigma 17 to 40 for my little FX30, and I just kind of wanted to run at the paces here because check out all the focal lengths. And so far, I haven't been able to use it on any real projects, but I've been messing around with it, and I've been really, really liking what I've gotten out of it. So I thought I'd just run it through all the focal lengths today. So what you're seeing is the FX30 4K SI with a 2 to 5 stop Polar Pro VND inside of it in the Basecamp matte box. And this is currently at the 17 mil widest. I really like the, there's some barrel distortion going on. I really like that. I think that's, oh fuck make sure that it's not all fucked up. We're gonna keep that in. I really like some of this barrel distortion going on with the curvy lines here. I think it gives it a nice little, like some character, but not too much. The only thing is, I think with the close-ups, this lens is going to be extremely sharp, just like the Sigma Prime. So 17 mil, I like the wideness. And I'm going to move in for a close-up with the 17 mil now. All right, this is a close-up, or medium close-up, I guess. Well, let me pan it down a little bit more. All right, there we go. This is like a medium close-up on the 17 mil still. And I like this. This looks great. I think it looks really nice. I think it's a little sharp. I'm looking at my small HD, like you can see my pores. I'm shooting this to a Kodak 250D stock emulation, so keeping that in mind as well, of like the shadow roll off or whatever. But I really like the character of this lens is just like, it's so nice. It's like clean and clinical, but also has like some distortion-y to it on the wide end, which I'm super, like the barrel distortion. Big fan of that. I don't want to turn that off. I like that because, you could negate it in camera, but I think it lends to it. It probably could use some black pro mist though, probably like an eighth, just because like my skin texture is like really porous when I'm looking at it right on my small HD. Let's get in for like a macro wide on the 17, just see minimum focus. All right, so there's still a little bit more focus room to go with, but I thought this did a pretty decent job. You can see the you can see the softbox in my glasses. I just realized. Yeah, this is definitely very sharp. I definitely think a 1/8 Pro Mist would probably go a long way in negating some of this. But I love the 17 mil look on a Super 35 sensor. I think that looks really nice, especially with like this autofocus tracking is actually quite good. I mean, that's a stupid test. It doesn't really mean anything, but I definitely like the 17 mil. And with the autofocus on the 17 mil, I could totally see this being a very viable sort of gimbal situation, because 17 is just close enough on a Super 35 sensor that it feels connected still without giving you that like removal that like a 12 mil or like a super wide would. So I definitely like that a lot. Let's move on to the 21. All right, this is the 21. Need to frame down a little bit more. Okay. So this is the 21 mil. I've always been a big fan of 21 mil. It's sort of like my my little like hack that I have of like, if you wanted a lens that does really good portraiture, like in terms of how the face feels portrait wise, and then also like gives you that wideness going between people in like a one shot. I think the studio recently did everything on a 21 mil. I definitely like this. Let's just bring it in for the close-up immediately. I want to see how it looks in the close-up on the face with more of the pores. But it's, the little weird lines have gone away now. The 17 definitely makes these like way more curved over here. So at least they're straight on the 21. All right, so this is like a medium close-up again. Still 21. I still love, so everything also is at 1.8. I should have specified that before. I'll have little descriptions for it, but I just keep it at 1.8 because I think that gives enough depth of field on a Super 35 sensor that it does what I want it to. I don't notice a huge difference in terms of any of the qualities of the skin. Like, it's not softer or anything, but I think it looks good. Solid option. All right, so this is the 28. This is 28 now. Definitely getting more compression back here. I like that. Man, that 1.8 looks so nice. Like, I definitely really, really like the 1.8 on this lens. I think it looks really nice. I don't really notice any chromatic aberration. I'm not a big like stickler about that. I personally like it, so I mean, you might be seeing some out here because it's so like tree and white and everything, but I think if there is any, I think that would look nice. Um, yeah, let's move this guy in for the close up and see how it looks. But 28, I don't really use 28 that much. If I'm gonna bop, I'm gonna probably go to like 35. And it'd either be like a 21 to a 35. 28 is sort of this in between where like maybe I'll use it on like gimbal shots or something, but rarely do I ever use this focal length. But it's great to have. It's great to have on a solid kit like this. So, all right, we are definitely getting tighter here. I'm gonna have to pan it down a little bit. Jesus, my big fucking chin. I'm noticing the 1.8 is getting very defined, almost too defined. I think a 28 on a close up like this, I'd probably go 2.8 or even 4, just to get a little bit more depth on it. I mean, it's nice, but I like to have both eyes in focus at least. This one's definitely falling where, with the autofocus, it's definitely landing on my left eye, very heavily, which, if that's your thing, sure, I definitely prefer to see both eyes. The smoothness of the autofocus areas looks very nice. Definitely is clinical. It's very clinical. It could use some spicing up, but yeah, that's very noticeable skin though, which is something that I'll have to contend with. Like, look at my beard hairs, dude. This is sharp. This is the 35 now. It looks great. I'm really liking the compression. We're almost getting like a pin cushiony effect on the outsides here, which is pretty interesting. Like I'm noticing a little bit of that on this, like slightly. At the longest end, at 40, it definitely got some pincushion effect, which I am a fan of. I like it. So on the wide you have the barrel, and then on the close you have the pincushion. I think that's cool. So like you get kind of best of both worlds of effects there. I will say so far the autofocus on this lens has been locked to my eyeball this entire time. Now granted, this isn't a very hard scene. There's a lot of easy contrast to grab onto, but very impressive that the autofocus is just not wavered at all. Like I'll shove my hand in front of my face and it's still like it locks on in what, a quarter of a second there. So I'm definitely very excited that the autofocus is this good. I'm rarely a person that uses autofocus too, just because I prefer to pull myself. I like the freedom that it gives you. Sometimes I feel like autofocus, you can't get those like creative looking shots where you're focusing on something weird that, algorithm may not necessarily grab. But I definitely have loved the combination where I tuned it in camera to be a lot less responsive. And then because this lens has the like AF assist where you can pull the focus ring, that I love that feature is the AF assist like the Sony G Master lenses. But I think with the looks of the Sigma, I think it looks nicer because it's clinical but has some of those, like I was mentioning, the barrel distortion, the pin cushioning effect over here. Like I think it looks really nice, especially with the 1.8. I love the 1.8. Here's the 35 super close up. Yeah, I've always enjoyed the way a 35 close up looks, especially when they're like this tight. Yeah, I mean, no, not a huge difference on the close ups, honestly, between the ranges in terms of how it like is rendering. I thought maybe it would be softer as we get up to 40, just because the lens is stretching its focal length capability a lot. So I'm not seeing any difference, honestly. I think this one is just as clean as the other ones, if not a little bit too clean for like my liking at least. But I definitely love the 1.8. I think the 1.8 looks fucking fantastic. And yeah, I think it renders a beautiful contrast as well with all the range. Like I don't see any difference in any of that. So this is the 40. This is the 40. I think this one is my favorite focal length besides 17. It's so funny. I feel like with this lens, I'm loving the 17 wide and I'm loving the 40 tight, and everything else in between is just sort of like the same to me. And I think it's because the effects that it gives you. Like I'm noticing, over here, if you notice the lamp, there's a distinctive pincushion effect now, where this is straight in real life. This is straight, and I'm not tilted on the camera. So that's the pin cushioning effect that's happening with this and the 40. And I thoroughly enjoy that. I think that looks really, really nice. And I also love the 1.8 40 millimeter length because of it's just enough where you're not separating so much that it's just like a blur. Like it's 70, like sometimes on these full frame sensors with these people who will like put it to 1.4 and just like absolutely smudge the shit out of the background. It looks interesting. Does it catch your eye? Sure. Like it focuses on what you need it to do. But I just love the idea that like even on a what would be equivalent of like a long lens, right? Just enough depth of field to focus on the subject at 1.8, but without blurring the background so much that it turns into just a giant water smudgy grossness in the background. So I like the character of the 40s depth of field as well. I love the bokeh look because it gets some cat's eyeing in the background, which you don't really see because there's no like bokeh balls or something back here, but you definitely get defined cat's eyeing bokeh, which I really love that. I always love the swirly cat's eye shit in the background, so big fan of that. But yeah, this is the 40 mil. Let's move in for the super tight, see how close we can get with this. Damn, that's tight. It's focused on my fucking nose. All right, maybe I have to turn off autofocus here. Yeah, 40 mil close-ups, 2.8 instead of a 1.8. I think 1.8 is way too strong. So I definitely 100% think what would make this even better is a 1/8 Pro Mist in front of this lens. Because look at my forehead skin. Look at how detailed all that shit is. And I have very porous skin, so don't get me wrong. But like, fuck, man. Favorite's my 17. Second favorite's the 40. I think this overall the lens for general purpose zoom on a Super 35 sensor. This is the best you're gonna get, man. Like for the price, it's like under $1,000. Um, it's sharp, it's clean. The autofocus is sticky as the look of it. You have some characteristics on the wide and on the long end. The middle is sort of just generic. It's just sort of there, and I think that's great. I think that's also needed. Um, and then I think it's small, it's compact, and the other thing I didn't mention is it's all internal zooming as well, which is fantastic. So I have a matte box on the front of this, and doing this whole thing, I didn't have to move the matte box once, so you could put the matte box on the rail system and never have to worry about it, and you can get extra stability and on support and all of that. So having something where the zoom and the focus is internal, it's a small, compact, little bit of character, pretty clean, pretty clinical. Flares aren't really existent on this thing, like there really is no flaring. Um, I fucking love it. I think it's great. And yeah, I'll hopefully I'll shoot a little short film or something with this guy soon, and really put it through the paces. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope it was useful. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.